and then we are able to deploy our model, the best model of machine learning in the web framework. So machine learning is the science of getting computers or systems to learn and act like humans do and improve their learning over time in autonomous fashion by feeding them data and information in the form of observation and real world interaction. So basically, we have the data first. In the initial stage, we have the data, or we need to collect the data, okay, by using surveys, by using various methods of data collection. Then after collecting the data, we'll try to pre-process the data, okay. As in the data pre-processing, first we clean the data, we transform the data, we do data integration, we do data transformation, and finally we'll get the our final data, okay. Then on that data set, we'll try to find some insights from that with the help of EDA, exploratory data analysis. And then we'll start with our model building part. So in the model building part, we are using machine learning techniques. So simply by just feeding the data to the computer and with the help of programming tools or programming languages like Python and R, okay, it will just process the data, and depending on the data set, it just build the model on that data set, and finally we'll get the model of different machine learning algorithms. So in this session, we'll going to cover some introduction of machine learning, the types of algorithms in the machine learning. Then we'll take a small breather of 5 minutes. Then we'll start with introduction to deep learning. Okay, and finally we'll go with the coding part. Okay, and in that coding part, we'll try to cover logistic regression. Okay, so here in the machine learning, according to Stanford University, machine learning is the science of getting computers to act without being explicitly programmed. Okay. Then, according to McKinsey and Company, this is a MNC company, it's a tech giant one. So, machine learning is based on algorithms that can learn from the data without relying on rules-based programming. Okay. Likewise, we have so many machine learning definitions, okay, for different university and different institutes like NVIDIA, then University of Washington, as well as Carnegie Mellon University. Okay, so let us start with types of machine learning. Machine learning falls under the three main categories. First is supervised learning, or we can say that supervised machine learning, then unsupervised machine learning, and finally reinforcement learning. So first, if we start with supervised learning, so here we'll see that it describes a problem that involves using a model to learn mapping between input variables and the target variable. So basically in the supervised learning, we are trying to cover the problems that involves the input variable and target variable, which means in our data set, we have some columns of we can say that some independent variables or some independent columns, and one is dependent variable. Means target variable means our variable of interest, means we need to find the model to predict that target variable column. Okay, like let's say suppose we have a data set of a particular, let's say, house price prediction data set. So in that house price prediction data set, we have several features or several columns. Okay, like address, okay, the location, we can say that. Then the in that house, the size of house, number of bathrooms, bedrooms, okay, number of kitchens, and like that. Then parking space is available or not. Like we have so many features. And then we have one feature which is a house price. Then we need to find, or we need to build the model for prediction of house price for that column by using those independent columns, like the size of the house, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, kitchen, halls, the location, okay, parking space or not, electricity is available or not, like this all kind of stuff. Okay, so this is the supervised learning. Means in the supervised learning we have a supervised data. In our data we have input variables and target variable given to us. Okay, then we just simply, with the help of supervised learning algorithm, we just try to build a model on the basis of various algorithms. Okay, so in the supervised learning, itself, we have two main types. First is a regression, second is a classification problem. So now what is regression and what is classification? So here in our data, if our target variable is a continuous type or a numerical one, then we simply say that it's a regression type problem. And if we have a classes or class labels in the target variable, like suppose MNIST handwritten digits, like we have a digits from 0 to 9. Okay, so these are nothing but the 10 classes. Okay, total we have 10 classes in our target variable. So we need to build the model of to classify these 10 classes. Okay, so likewise we have different example. Okay, it's a example of prediction of heart disease. So we have the data set of patients. Okay, in that data set we have some lab reports. Okay, and finally from that we will find the patient will have a heart disease or not. Okay, so like that, in the classification we'll try to build the classification model. Okay, we need to just look at the target variable in our data set. Okay, if it is a continuous one, then it's a regression problem. If it is a classification one, it's a classification problem. Okay, so let's see the different algorithms of regression. So basically in the regression analysis, the most basic algorithm is simple linear regression. Means here we are dealing with only two columns. Okay, like in our data we have only two columns. Okay, one is independent, one is dependent. Okay, like number of hours of study, okay, and test scores. So we have only two columns in our data set. So by using these two columns, okay, we'll try to find a linear regression model. Okay, and here we have some assumptions. Okay. Then we'll go with the multiple linear regression one. Okay, in the multiple linear regression It's a generalization form of simple linear regression. Okay. Then in our data, if we have a multiple independent variables and one target variable, then we go with the multiple linear regression. Okay. But the condition is we need a target variable as a continuous variable. Okay. Only then we can go with a multiple linear regression. Okay. Like prediction of house price. So that was the problem of multiple linear regression. Then in some cases, after plotting a scatter plot, as we plotted in our previous session, so if we plot a scatter plot, then we'll see some non-linear pattern. Okay, in that case, we'll use a non-linear regression like polynomial, exponential, quadratic, logarithmic, square root, and many more. Then we'll start with a stepwise regression. If we have a data, like we have a data set, in our data set we have so many independent variables and we have one dependent variable, but we can't go with this all the variables for building the model. So in that case, we'll try to reduce the data. We'll try to find the significant variable or significant features out of all the features in our data. So for reducing our data, we are using two techniques. First is a forward selection and second is a backward elimination. Okay. In the forward selection, we'll start with a simple linear regression. Then we, at each iteration, we'll try to add one more significant variable in our model. Okay. And in the backward elimination, first we'll start with all the variables, then we'll try to eliminate one at each iteration, and that one variable will be insignificant variable, okay, for predicting the target variable. And another algorithm of regression is ridge regression as well as lasso regression. These two are different regression algorithm, but these two algorithms are the very important algorithm we also call as regularization technique. With this algorithm, we'll try to reduce our data, okay, or we'll try to build the better model by using their regularization parameters. Okay. So these are some important algorithms of regression. Okay. And in real life, you will see that there are many situations to apply this regression algorithms. Okay. Like in number of hours of study and exam score. Okay. In that case, you will able to apply this regression algorithms. Okay. Or if you find, like if you want to find a house price, then you can add like use this regression. Okay. Likewise, we have so many different problems to apply the regression algorithm on that data. Then we have a classification algorithms. Okay. Now classification means simply target variable is a class label. Okay, like in the iris data set, we have a 5 columns. Okay, iris is a flower. So here in the iris data set, we have 3 species: Setosa, versicolor, and virginica. Okay, so then to classify these flowers, this species of iris flower, we need to collect a sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width, means the measurement of that flower. Okay, and by using these 4 columns like sepal width, sepal length, and petal width, okay, we'll try to find the classification model for the iris data set. Okay. So we are using this classification algorithms, different types of classification algorithms for our classification problem. Okay. Then in the classification algorithm, first we'll start with the logistic regression. Logistic regression is the only regression algorithm that can apply to the classification problem. Okay, means we are using logistic regression for classification problem, and it's a very basic algorithm. In statistics also, you will see that if some of you like already learned the statistics, then you knew that this algorithm is a like regression analysis, like very basic algorithm of regression analysis. Okay, then second algorithm is a Naive Bayes algorithm. Okay, in that algorithm too, we are using a very basic theorem of statistics, which is a Bayes theorem. Okay, and with the help of this Bayes theorem, we'll try to find the probabilities. Okay, Bayesian probabilities, and with that probabilities we'll try to classify our data, or with that probabilities we'll try to build the model of Naive Bayes classifier. Okay, then we have k nearest neighbor algorithm. In the k nearest neighbor algorithm, we are just using a distance method or distance formula, like we have so many distance formula. Okay, so with the help of that, we are trying to build a k nearest neighbor model. Okay, then if we see the support vector machine, so we are using this support vector machine for large data set. Okay, and it's a, we can say that this support vector machine is good to apply for large data set. Okay, because we are trying to just change the dimension of the data in this support vector machine to classify our data. Okay, then if we go with a decision tree algorithm, so it is nothing but a tree-like structure. Since with the help of a tree-like structure, we have a different nodes, root node, output nodes, middle nodes, and with this we are able to classify our data. Okay, then we have some ensemble methods like bagging and boosting. So in the bagging, we have one algorithm called random forest. In the name itself, you will see that the word forest means here we are using a number of decision tree for building the algorithm. Okay, and in the boosting algorithm, we are using a combination of algorithms to build the model. Okay, so in the boosting, we have so many boosting methods like gradient boosting, extreme gradient boosting, ADA boosting, like light boosting as well. Okay, the purposes are different only. Okay, then let's go with the unsupervised learning. So this is a second main category of machine learning, which is a unsupervised learning. So in the unsupervised learning, so basically unsupervised learning describes a class of problems that involves using a model to describe or extract relationship in the data. So, which means here we are not going to predict or classify any type of data. Okay. Here we'll try to find the relationship in the data. Or here we'll try to just reduce the dimensionality of the data, or just try to find the groups in the data, okay, and try to build the association rules from that data. Okay, so it operates upon only the input data. Okay, the basic difference between the supervised learning and unsupervised learning is, in the supervised learning we are dealing with the problems of predicting and classification, but okay, and there in the supervised learning we have the data with input variable and target variable. Okay, and in the unsupervised learning we are dealing with the data of only input variables, not target variable. Okay, here we don't have any target variable. Okay, means here we need to find the relationship of the input data, okay, without output or target variables. So here we have three different types of unsupervised learning. Here we have three different types of unsupervised learning problem. First is a clustering, means here we are creating a groups in the data by their, okay, in terms of their relationship between the data points. Then second one is the dimensionality reduction, means from this we are trying to reduce the dimension of data. Okay, then we'll try to find the relationship between the data, okay, or relationship between the attributes. Okay, so suppose, like, let's say an example. So if you have to find or like if you go in some supermarket, so if you see that some product are just put near to each other, like bread and butter, okay, then bread, butter, egg, okay, likewise they put some different products, okay, near to each other, because in that product there is a relationship. Okay, so depending on the customer history, they just find out that relationship between those products, okay, like milk, bread, butter, egg, okay, like that. So these are the one example of association rule. Okay, like we need dimensional reductionary technique to reduce the dimension of the data. Okay, like in our word, each and every day 1.7 quintillion bytes of data generating. Okay, so to analyze the data, okay, so we are not going to analyze all the data. Okay, we just analyzing the data which is like a 20% or 30%. Okay, so how to find that 20% of the data, okay, out of that overall data. Okay, so to find that data, okay, we need some data dimensionality technique. Okay, and in clustering also, suppose we have a data of number of university and you need to take the admission for your upper graduation in one of that university, one of those university. okay, that you have in your dataset. So you have some features of each and every university. Okay, so with the help of clustering, you can find the groups, okay, of like tier 1 university, tier 2 university, and tier 3 universities. Okay, and depending of your criteria, okay, like your financial, your marks, okay, so those all criterias, so you can choose one of that university or one group of universities, okay, instead of filling the info, like filling the form for up UG. You don't need to like fill the form of all the upper graduation universities. Okay, so in that case we need a clustering. Okay, like in many times, like in banking sector, some banks just disclose their offers for particular customers. Okay, so how they do that? So with the help of clustering it is possible, because they just cluster their customers. Okay, then after grouping the customers, okay, then they'll try to just put the some offer to one group, okay, put another offer for another group, okay, like that. So in the clustering, okay, let's see the clustering algorithms. So we have basically two types of clustering algorithm. First, hierarchical clustering, non-hierarchical clustering. Okay, some of you may heard that the clustering algorithm is a k-mean, because it's a very popular clustering algorithm. Okay, so if we start with like a hierarchical clustering analysis, clustering algorithms, so we have a simple linkage, complete linkage, average linkage, median linkage, Watts linkage, because these all linkage methods, okay, we are using this with the help of distance method. Okay, different distance method, Euclidean distance method, centroid distance method, Minkowski distance method, Manhattan distance method. Okay, like we have so many distance. By just applying those distance formulas, okay, on different linkage methods, we'll try to build a hierarchical model, or we'll try to group the data. Okay. Then if we see a k-means clustering, so in the k-means clustering, you need to find first k means number of groups to find, like groups to divide the data. Okay, so by using this you can just go with the algorithm, okay, go with the code and just try to apply k-means algorithm on your data, okay, for creating the groups in our data. Okay, so let's see the dimensionality reduction algorithm. So in the dimensionality reduction algorithm, we have principal component analysis first. Okay, that involves reduction of dimension of data. Same in factor analysis. Okay, we are trying to reduce the dimensionality of the data by using different factors. And in the linear discriminant analysis, we are using the data distribution. Okay, we are using the data distribution to group the data, to divide the data, okay, or to find the clusters in our data. So in these three algorithms, we are using statistics. Okay, and then lastly, we have a one main category of machine learning, which is reinforcement learning. Okay, reinforcement learning, it's a, we can say that we are using this reinforcement learning for self-driving car. Okay, because it describes a class of problems where an agent operates in an environment and must learn to operate using feedbacks. Like, to use of an environment means that there is no fixed training data set. Okay, means to apply reinforcement learning, we don't have any data set. Okay, rather a goal or a set of goals that an agent is required to achieve. Okay, action they may perform and feedback about performance towards the goal. It is similar to supervised learning in that the model has some response from which to learn, although the feedback may be delayed and statistically noisy. Means there will be some error in the feedback, making it challenging for the agent or model to connect cause and effect. Okay. An example of a reinforcement problem is a playing a game where the agent has the goal of getting high scores and can make moves in the game and receive feedback in terms of punishments or rewards. Okay. Then if we go with the deep learning part, so in the deep learning is nothing but a collection of statistical techniques of machine learning for learning feature hierarchies that are actually based on artificial neural network. And guys, remember, deep learning is a sub part of machine learning, but we are using deep learning. Okay, okay, in the deep learning we are using artificial neural networks. So that's why the accuracy of deep learning algorithms is very high. Okay? Because it just uses like how our biological brain, like how our brain works. Okay, in that manner, artificial neural network works. Okay, it builds the model like our brain structure. Okay? The idea of deep learning to build such algorithm that can mimic the human brain. Okay? Deep learning is implemented with the help of neural networks. The idea behind the motivation of neural network is the biological neurons, which is nothing but a brain cells. Okay. So if we see the example of deep learning, so here in this example, first we provide the raw data of images, okay, to the neural network. Okay, first we have this raw images, okay, and we are providing these images to this neural network. Okay, this is our neural network, and you'll see the structure of neural network is very much similar to our structure of brain. Okay, these all green points are nothing but the neurons. Okay, and here it's a artificial one, na? So that's why it is called a one perceptron. Okay, in the artificial, but in our brain we have neurons. Okay? So if we give these images to this first, or we can say that input layer to the neural network, after then this input layer will determine the patterns of location. Okay, pattern of local contrast, that means it will differentiate on the basis of colors. Okay, it will differentiate on the basis of colors. Then the first hidden layer will determine the face feature. Okay. Means it will fixate on eyes, nose, lips, okay, etc. And then it will fixate those face features on the correct face template. So in the second hidden layer, it will actually determine the correct face here. Okay, this is in the second layer. Then finally, it will try to find the person, okay, by using the output layer. Okay, this is how the neural network works. Okay, this is how the neural network works. First we have one input layer, then we have multiple hidden layers, okay, depending upon us, and then finally we have output layers. So here we have different types of deep learning algorithms. Okay. First is a feed forward neural network. So a feed forward neural network is none other than an artificial neural network, which ensures that the node do not form a cycle. Okay, like it's some complicated one. Okay. So if we see, like, it builds starting from a input layer, hidden layers, and output layer. Okay, by using the perceptrons. Okay, connection of perceptron. The applications of feed forward neural network are data comprehension, pattern recognition, computer vision, then sonar target recognition, speech recognition, and handwritten character recognition. Okay, then convolution neural network is another type of deep learning. Okay. We are using convolution neural network to identify faces, street signs, and tumors, okay, of human being. Okay, like we have, like some patients have brain tumor, okay, and any other tumors. Okay, then with the convolution neural network, we'll try to build a model of image recognition. Then we can do a video analysis from that. Okay, we use CNN, means convolution neural network, in natural language processing as well. Then we are using this for anomaly detection, means for to detect a outlier or a fraud. We are using this convolution neural network for a drug discovery, means to, like, in COVID, we just created a vaccine. Okay, we just invented a vaccine, okay, in a very less time. Okay. So with the help of convolution neural network, we can able to, like, build a vaccine, okay, or a drug discovery. Then we are using this in checker games, okay, and also we are using this time series forecasting. Okay, forecasting is nothing but to predict a live share price data or share prices, then rate of gold, okay, like temperature, okay, means forecasting one. Then in the recurrent neural network, we are using recurrent neural network for machine translation, for robot control, for time series prediction, for speech recognition, for speech synthesis, for time series anomaly detection, as well as for rhythm learning, as well as for music composition. Okay. Then fourth one is the restricted Boltzmann machine. We are using this for filtering, feature learning, classification, risk detection, business and economic analysis. And lastly, we are using autoencoders for classification, clustering, and feature compression. Okay, like in that, in autoencoders, we have two terms, encoder and decoder. Okay, encoder first is to convert the input data in lower dimensions. Then, with the help of decoder, we reconstruct the compressed data. Okay, so these are the some deep learning algorithms with their applications. Okay. So here, let's see a feed forward neural network. How feed forward neural network works. So feed forward neural network is biologically inspired by the neural network which constitutes after the human brain. Okay, like here you will see that this network is nothing but a feed forward neural network. Okay, like first we have some input data. Okay, after put the input data, okay, through this network it will give the output value. Okay, first we have input layer, some hidden layer, and we have output layer. Okay, then in the input layer, basically input layer accept all the inputs that are provided by the programmer or by the data scientist, by the machine learning engineer, or by the deep learning engineer. Then hidden layer are nothing but like in our neural network. Okay, after the input layer, in between the input and output layer, there is a set of hidden layers on which computations are performed. Okay, like to find the nose, the lips, okay, eyes, okay, on the faces. Okay, and then perform that for like, and then after finding this, okay, we'll just give the output, okay, in terms of results. Okay, so in the output layer we got the our final result. Okay, so here motivation of neural network is nothing but the neurons of our brain. Okay, because the neural network is based on the neurons, which are nothing but the brain cells. So a biological neuron receives input from other resources, okay, and combine them in some way, followed by the following non-linear operations on the results, and the output will be the final result. Like here, this is the image of one neuron. Sorry, guys. So this is the image of one neuron. Okay. So here in this we have dendrite, cell nucleus, axon, okay, synapse. First, dendrites will act as a receivers. Okay. Okay. It receives a signal from other neurons. Dendrite will receive a signal from other neurons, which are then passed on the cell body, which is a cell nucleus. The cell body will perform some operations that can be summation, multiplication, and other operations. Okay. After these operations are performed on the set of input, then they are transferred to the next neuron y axon. Okay, y axon, which is the transmitter of the signals from the neurons. Okay. So this is nothing but the motivation behind the neural network. So let's see the some deep learning applications. First is nothing but the self-driving cars. So in the self-driving cars, it is able to capture the images around it by processing a huge amount of data, and then it will decide which action should be incorporated to take a left or right, or should it stop. So according to it will decide what actions it should take, what will further reduce accidents that happens every year. Okay. Then second is nothing but the voice controlled assistant. When we talk about voice control assistant, then Siri, like Google's assistant, and Alexa, like Amazon's Alexa, like we have so many voice assistants. Okay. So if you tell to those voice assistants, okay, they can easily analyze your voice. Okay. And after doing so much analysis within some milliseconds, okay, they will just respond you by the results. Then automatic image caption generation. Okay. Whatever image that you upload, the algorithm will work in a such a way that it will generate caption accordingly. If you say blue color eyes, it will display a blue colored eye with a caption at the bottom of the image. Okay. And the another application of deep learning is automatic machine translation. So with the help of automatic machine translation, we are able to convert one language into another with the help of deep learning. Okay. With the help of deep learning, we can able to translate the languages. Okay. But we have some limitations for deep learning. Okay. First, it only learns through the observations. Okay. Means for building a deep learning application or for building a deep learning model, we need some data. Okay. So that is one drawback. Okay. As we discussed, in reinforcement learning, we don't need any data. Okay. It just learn by itself. Okay. And it comprises of biases issue. Okay. Sometimes model just make the biases prediction or bias prediction. Okay. Because some of the data or some of the data points or images having a high weightage. Okay. So for that it comprises some biases issues. Okay. So let's see the advantages of deep learning. First, it lessens the need for feature engineering. Okay. Then it eradicates all those costs that are needless. Then it easily identifies difficult defect. Okay, that's why deep learning algorithms are able to just give you the higher accuracy as compared to all other machine learning algorithms. It results in the best in class performance on problem. Okay, and some disadvantages are it requires an ample amount of data. Okay, means as data increases, accuracy of the model is also increases. Okay, then to train the model on our data, okay, we need quite expensive budget to train our model. Okay, to train the deep learning models. Okay? It's a disadvantage of the deep learning models because it required some GPU, or in like if we have a like big data, then we need TPU. Okay? With this GPU and TPU, we can able to calculate like trillions of calculations within some minute seconds or some minutes. Okay, and it does not have strong theoretical groundwork. Okay, so before that, let's go with the algorithm, which is a logistic regression. So let me just okay. So as we discussed, logistic regression is one of the most basic classification algorithm. Okay, and this algorithm is only one algorithm we are using for classification, but this algorithm is a regression algorithm. Okay, in the name itself you'll see that the regression word there. Okay, like this is a problem of like logistic regression is nothing but a supervised learning algorithm. Means we need the data in terms of input variable and target variable. So here we have x as an input variable and y as a target variable. So let's discuss logistic regression. So this is a Jupyter Notebook framework, guys, and we already discussed about the shortcuts of the Jupyter Notebook and basics of Python. So first we are importing the different libraries. First one is nothing but the matplotlib for data visualization purpose. Okay, means we are importing matplotlib.pyplot as PLT for data visualization. Then we are importing NumPy library as NP for some numeric calculations or some statistical analysis or to create some data as well. Okay, then here you will see that there is a very common and very important library in Python. Okay, sklearn, scikit-learn library. This is a very important library for machine learning in Python. So in scikit-learn, we have one module called linear model. Okay? And in linear model, we have so many modules. Okay, one is logistic regression. So first, from sklearn dot linear model, we are importing logistic regression. to build a logistic regression model. Then again, with the help of scikit-learn, we are importing different matrices. Why we need to import different matrices is to check the model, like the goodness of the model. Okay, classification report will give you the different matrices. Okay, like precision, recall, F1 score, accuracy. These are the measures of your model. And confusion matrix is nothing but a cross table of your predictions, okay, and your actual target values. So let's run this. After importing all these libraries in Python, let's add the data. Okay, so here we are just taking a simple example. That's why I just used a bivariate data. Okay, means X and Y. We have only two columns in our data. Okay, so let us run this. Okay, this is nothing but the arrays, guys. Okay, then let's see how the X looks like with the help of print X. This is the X and this is the Y. So here you will see that the X and Y. Okay, this is nothing but the X and Y. This is the data. So here let's build the model first. So we are using a logistic regression to build the model. Okay, because in our Y, okay, in our target variable we have two classes. First class is 0, another class is 1. Okay, so we have two classes, and here we are building a two class classification problem. Okay, means we are building the model for predicting zeros and ones. Okay, then here we are using solver. Okay, why to use solver? Okay, because it uses a coordinate descent algorithm, okay, for minimizing multivariate function, means for minimizing our model. Okay, we are using the solver, and we are using linear solver because our data is very small. Okay, so if we have a small amount of data, then we are using linear. Okay, if we have a large amount of data, then we can go with a sage or saga. Okay, solvers. So these are some different solvers we have in for the logistic regression. And in the logistic regression you will see that like we have so many parameters, solver, random state, and we have so many different parameter as well. But in the initial we'll start with first solver and random state. Okay, why we use random state? To get the same outcome, okay, for each and every time. When I'm using the same data for this logistic regression with same random state number, then we'll get the same output. Okay, so let's build the model. After building the model in Python, let's fit the model on the data. Okay, so this is my input data, this is my target variable. So with the help of model dot fit, I'm just fitting the model on my data. So here you can see that we just fit the model. Okay, and you can go with the alternative method for fitting the model. Like first you just create the model and simply in that code itself you just add if fit command, okay, by using this dot. Okay. So in one line you can build the model and fit the model on your data. Or you can even, by using again just adding a dot and predict, you can able to predict the like prediction, you can able to make the prediction from this model. Okay, so here let's see how many classes we have. Okay, so basically we have two classes, 0 and 1. Okay, so here this problem is nothing but the binary class classification problem. Okay, then let's, like, in the logistic regression, it's like a model of a regression model, like y equal to beta naught plus beta 1. Okay, beta naught beta 1 are nothing but the parameters, and x1 x2 are nothing but the input features or input variables. Okay, let's run this. So here we have intercept. Okay, and we have the coefficient of the model. So with this intercept and coefficient, we can able to make the prediction. Okay, but before that, let's see the probabilities of the class 0 and class 1 for each and every data point. Okay, like this. So first, in the logistic regression, first we have the data, then we are building the model, which is a multiple linear one. Then after building that model, we are just applying a logarithmic transformation, and then we are using a sigmoid function on that. Okay, so after using a sigmoid function, it will simply give us a probabilities, simply given probabilities like this. Okay, so here if you see that first our probability is nothing but this is for first 0. Okay, this column is for 0, this column is for 1. Okay, means 0, this column is for 0 class, this column is for 1 class. So if the probability is greater than 0.5, then we simply just classify this data point, this first data point, as a class 0, because the probability of class 0 is greater than the probability of class 1. This is the probability of class 1, this is the probability of class 0 for this data point. Okay, or we can say that for first data point. So simply we are just finding the classes, okay, with the help of predict probability. So first it's a for class 0. Okay, we have a probability as a 0.74, which is greater than 0.5. Okay, so this first data point predicted as a 0. Okay, like that second is also greater than 0.5 for class 0. So second is also predicted as a, okay, we predicted second data point as a 0. Okay, for third one if we compare this, okay, so again this value is greater than 0.5. Again the third data point is also predicted as a 0 class, and from here, from fourth data point, you will see that my class 0 probabilities are less than 0.5. Okay, this first column, for this first column, And from here, the class 1 probabilities are greater than 0.5. Okay. So the remaining all data points will be predicted as a 1. Okay. Remaining all means we have total 7 data points predicted as a 1. Okay. So let's directly predict and see it is correct or not. Let's run this. So with the help of model.predict, okay, and by putting the input variable inside the predict function, okay, it gives a predicted classes. Okay, so first 3 classes are nothing but the zeros, and last 7 classes are 1. So our predictions is like our comparison is right. But here, if you see that in our actual values, like our actual target variable, first 4 target variables means first 4 data points are 0 and last 6 data points are 1. Okay. So there is one incorrect prediction, which is this. Okay. The 4 data point predicted as a 1, but actually this data point is 0. Okay. So now if we see the score, which means score means accuracy of the model. So as we know that out of 10, okay, 9 are predicted correctly and only one prediction is incorrect. So that's why 9 divided by 10, which means we have 90% accuracy for our model. Okay. So let's create a confusion matrix. So after creating a confusion matrix, here in the confusion matrix, we'll see that we have got 4 different points. Okay. So first, actually this is like in the name itself, you will see that confusion. Okay. So some of you uh, just just have some confusion, okay, because of the values or some quantities. Okay. So let's see in the confusion matrix. First, we have the quantity, okay, which is called as true positive rate. Okay. Or we can say that it's a true positive, which means here we have two classes 0 and 1. Okay. Here we have two classes, so that's why it's a 2 cross 2 matrix. Okay. One for 0, one for 1. Then we have total 4 zeros, okay, in our data, in our actual data. Okay, means we have 4 data points in the target variable are zeros, and 6 data points are 1. Okay, so out of 3 data points, okay, out of 4 zeros, we predicted we predicted 3 as a we predicted 3 correctly, but we predicted 1 incorrectly. Okay, here this is the incorrect prediction, so that's why this is the incorrect one. Okay, so this is the true positive quantity and it's a false positive quantity. Then lastly, we have in reality we have 6 ones, but here you will see that we predicted 7 ones. Okay, means we one extra predicted one. Okay, so that's why we all one are predicted correctly. Okay, all six quantities are predicted correctly, and there is no incorrect prediction happen in the model for class 1. Okay? So this is how we just build the confusion matrix. Okay, this is a true positive quantity. This 6 is nothing but the true negative. This 1 is the false positive, and this 0 is the false negative. Now let's draw the confusion matrix in the plot. Okay, so then we just, with the help of some subplots, we can able to draw this confusion matrix in terms of plot. Okay, it's a basic code. Okay, we'll see this. Okay, actual zeros, we have 4 actual zeros. Okay, 3 predicted correctly, 1 is incorrect prediction. We have 6 actual ones we predicted. Okay, incorrect prediction is 0 and 6 are correct predictions. Now let's find the classification report with the help of simply classification report. Our target variable actual values of target and predicted values of target. Okay, so by just comparing these two terms, actual target values and predicted target value, we just created a classification report. Now here you will see that 4 terms: precision, recall, F1 score, and support. These first 3 terms are nothing but the matrices. Okay, means with the help of these 3 terms, you can able to say that our model is good or not. And support are nothing but the number of observation corresponding to 0 and number of observation corresponding to 1. Okay, like we know that 4 observation corresponding to 0 and 6 observation corresponding to 1. This is nothing but the real quantity. Okay, real value of zeros and 1. Then if we start with the precision, okay, then if we see the precision and recall as well as F1 score quantity, if this quantity is tends to 1, means close to 1, then we say that our model is good. If this quantity is tends to 0, then we say that our model is it's not a good model. Okay, then let's see how to calculate this precision. Okay, like there is some formula for calculating this. Okay, let's see. So if we see the confusion matrix, first we have a true positive, false positive. Okay, then false negative and true negative. So precision for class 0, okay, this for class 0 is 1. Okay, which means here we can say that the formula of precision is nothing but the true positive divided by true positive plus false negative. Okay, so by simply we say that precision for class 0 is nothing but the 3 divided by 3 plus 0. So it's simply 3 by 3, which is 1. Okay, likewise we can able to find the value of precision for class 0. Okay, if we see the recall value for class 0 is nothing but the 0.75. This because here we correctly predicted only 3 zeros and we incorrectly predict one value of 0. Okay, so the precision is nothing but the true positive means 3 divided by true positive plus false positive. So which is nothing but 3 divided by 4, which is 0.75. Okay. And F1 score is nothing but the harmonic mean of precision and recall. Now average of precision and recall, but we are taking precision and recall in the denominator. Okay, like let me show you F1 score for class 0. Okay, so here we have value first 1, okay, divided by first we have a precision value which is 1 divided by 1, okay, which is nothing but 1, okay, plus 1 divided by 0.75, okay, and divided by 2, okay, means here instead of 1 we can just type 2, okay? So this is nothing but the okay, this is nothing but the 0.86 if we round the value to 2 decimals, okay, got it? So how we calculate the precision and recall? So it's a like these three measures are very important in the classification. Okay. Now you can try by yourself for class 1. Okay. For class 1. Then now let's find the best model for this data. Okay. Like here we have got one incorrect prediction. Okay. So here again we are building the model. Okay, first we use solver as a linear, then random state as a 0, the same, and here now we add the one new parameter. Okay, this parameter is nothing but the shrinkage parameter. Okay, or we can say that regularization parameter. Okay, so by just putting this value, okay, c equal to 10, okay, with the help of trial and error method, okay, we can find the best value for c. So if we run this model and fit this model on our data, okay, and now let's see the probabilities. Okay, predicted probability for our model. Now here you can see that our first 4 probabilities for class 0, for this class 0 for first column is greater than 0.5, which is nothing but all four all first 4 data points predicted as a class 0, not class 1. Okay, so if we predict, okay, with the help of just predict function, so So here you can see that first four values are predicted as a 0 and last six values predicted as a 1. Okay. So here you can see that our actual y values are first four 0 and last six 1. Means by just adding one parameter, one shrinkage parameter here, we got the best model. Okay, we just got the best model. If we find the confusion matrix, okay, so here you can see that the correct predictions for class 0 are 4 and correct predictions for class 1 are 6. Means there is no incorrect prediction for class 0 and for class 1. Okay, this non-diagonal entries of confusion matrix showing you that there is incorrect prediction, and this diagonal entries of confusion matrix show you that there is correct prediction. Okay, so let's find the classification report. So here you can see that in the classification report all values are 1 because the accuracy is 1. Okay, because the accuracy is 1, so we can simply say that our model is good fitted to the data. Okay, and this is the intercept of the model, and this is the coefficient of the model. And guys, remember here we have two classes. Okay, here we have two classes. So let's say let's make some changes in the data. Okay, and again just build the model, logistic regression model. Okay, by using same parameters. Let's run this. Okay, now we change some values. Okay, here we change the one value. Okay, first it's a 0. Okay, we change it by 1. So let's run this. So how the x data looks like, or we can say that this is our input data and this is our output data. Okay, here after creating the data, let's fit the model. Now here after fitting the model, let's find the confusion matrix and classification report. Now here you will see that there is only 80% accuracy, which means out of 10, 2 points incorrectly predicted. Okay, one is incorrectly predicted from 0 to 1, and one is incorrectly predicted from 1 to 0. Okay, these non-diagonal entries will just show you the incorrect predictions, and these are the values of precision and recall. So if we just run these, so we'll get to know that which one is incorrectly predicted. So this value is incorrectly predicted and this value is incorrectly predicted. Okay, actually it is 1 and it is 0. Here let me show you. Okay, this second data point is 1 and fourth data point is 0. So here you can see that second data point becomes 0 and four data points become 1. So these two are incorrect predictions. Okay, so this is how we just calculating or making the predictions. Now here we just use here the sklearn library, means scikit-learn library. Now To building logistic regression, we have another library in Python. Okay, it gives me a different summary other than matrices, other than classification report. Okay, so with the help of stats model, okay, we can able to just use a logistic regression. Okay, so first let's import NumPy and stats model. Let's run this, and here we just created the data x and y. Okay, no other changes. Now here we just build the model on our data. Okay, let's run this, and now here we are using a Newton method. Okay, this is the method of iterations. Okay? So with the help of this, okay, in the 7th iteration we successfully optimize our solution. Okay, so let's see the parameters. Means our intercept, and this is nothing but the intercept, and this is the coefficient value of x, means our input variable. Then with the help of just model, we can able to predict. Okay, we can able to make the predictions on x. So these are nothing but the predicted values. Okay, now if we just use a cutoff value, okay, and then we make it as a integer instead of these floating points, okay, then it is nothing but the predicted classes in terms of 0 and 1s. Okay, so this is the prediction probability for class 1. Okay, means the second column. Okay, this is okay like this is the second column. Okay, so here just here you can create the confusion matrix with this. Okay, with just spread underscore table function, and with the summary here, now you will see the different summary, totally different summary, guys. Okay, now here this is a logistic regression result. Okay, here you have a dependent variable y and number of observations in your data, nothing but 10. Okay, like you are using a logic model. Okay, method is maximum likelihood estimator. Okay, the time. Okay, and here you will see that the residual degrees of freedom, like this is nothing but the all statistical terms. Okay, this is the pseudo r square. Okay, we are using r square in regression analysis for checking the goodness of the model. Okay, if the r square value is greater than, like is tends to 1, then we can say that the model is good in the regression, not here. Okay, this is the likelihood value for comparing the different method or different models of our logistic regression. Okay, and here you can see that log likelihood testing of hypothesis. Okay, here we just test a log likelihood test. Okay, and the result, and here the p value for that. Okay, for checking the significance of independent variable on the dependent variable. Okay, and here you can see that this table is nothing but show. Okay, it will show you the z test. Okay, probability of z test and the interval 95% confidence interval. Okay, So this is also a part of hypothesis test. Okay. And in the second summary, you will see that here here you will see that AIC information criteria, Bayesian information criteria, log latitude. These all are the comparison matrices. Means if you are creating n number of models on your data, so which model give you the lowest AIC BIC value, that model is good model. Okay, in terms of only AIC and BIC values. Now here, from here you can check x1 is significant or not for predicting y. Okay, means for predicting our target variable, means this is the input variable. Okay, so like that. Now this is all about the two class classification problem. Now what about multi-class classification problem? Multi-class classification problem means if we have a n classes in our target variable, means more than two classes like 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, if we have a more than two classes in our target variable, then we can able to use logistic regression. Okay, let's see. Okay, first we just import a matplotlib library for data visualization, then numpy library for just statistical operation or creating n-dimensional arrays. Then here now we are importing the data from sklearn library itself. Okay, and the data is nothing but the digits. Okay, the digits from 0 to 9, and here as we know we have 10 digits. Okay, so this problem is going to be a 10 class classification problem. Okay, so first with the help of sklearn we just import logistic regression. Then with the help of sklearn we are importing matrices. First one is classification report and confusion matrix. Then with the help of sklearn we are just splitting the data in terms of train and test. And with the help of sklearn 2 we are just pre-process the data. Here we are using standard scaler. Okay, standard scaler means we are converting the data in the range of -3 to 3. Okay, let's run this. Okay, and load the data. Okay, we are loading the digits. Then how our data looks like. Okay, this is the input data. Okay, like we have the digits in terms of 0, 5, 10. Okay, or here we can see that our classes, here we have 10 classes. Okay, okay, starting with like 0, 1, 2. Okay, so this y means our target variable is nothing but the 0, 1, 2 up to so on 9. Okay, means number of digits. Okay, and then we'll just split the data. Okay, why we split the data is to check. Okay, first to build the model on the train and check the how model is good or not by with the help of making the prediction on the test data. Okay, on the test data. So let's run this. After running this, just use the standard scalar transformation on the train data. Okay, so we are just transforming the data. Like here we have the data like 0, 1, 2, 10, 12. Okay, so we have the data. Just transform the data in the range of -3 to 3. Okay, Let's see. Now here you can see that we just transform the data, okay, in the range, or we can just contact the data in the range -3 to 3, okay. And here we are applying the logistic regression model, which is nothing but a multi-class classification model. So that's why we add one new parameter here, okay, and we fit the model on the training data, okay. And similarly, we just transform the test data as we transform data as a like train data, okay. So let's run this and just simply make the predictions, okay. So if you see, okay, the score means accuracy of the model is nothing but the 96%, okay. And for training, now for testing, the accuracy is nothing but the 94%, which is quite good, okay. It's greater than 9, it's greater than 90%, so that's why. Now here let's see the confusion matrix. Now the order of this confusion matrix is going to be 10 cross 10, okay. Now these diagonal elements are nothing but the correct predictions, and this some of the non-diagonal elements are showing 1 or 2, okay. These are the incorrect predictions, okay. And here if we plot this confusion matrix, so here you will see that now here like by just looking this plot, you will see that there is a high correctly predictions values as compared to incorrect predictions, okay. And this is the classification report. Now here we have a precision recall F1 score value for 10 classes, okay. Initially in the previous example we have only 2 classes, 0 and 1, but now here we have 10 classes, so it is nothing but a multi-class classification problem, and the accuracy is nothing but 94%, okay. And we have 360 data points,